Toffee TV, proudly backed by Ladbrokes for the season. I'm joined by Matt Jones. He's back. He's come to see me. He's had enough of his la-di-da podcast subscription service at the Blue Room.
Following the same path as you.
How is that going?
Oh, it's going brilliantly. Yeah, it's it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
But see what you're doing. You got the jacuzzi over there
of
now
course,
as well,
yeah.
Fridge full of ale and everything. So hopefully we can follow the similar path to you guys.
So that's. I mean, if you haven't got onto it already, the Blue Room. People have asked me who's he? Where are they from? What's the Blue Room? The Blue Room EFC on Twitter. Get all the information there. Same as what we do, but podcast. Yeah. This, and it's a good job it is podcast, because if they ever veer into video, it will be like Anchorman. Honestly,
you guys are pioneers. You couldn't possibly follow.
The streets will run red with the blood of Dave Downey.
Better not be watching Dave.
So it's the final word. We're through. The draw's even been made.
Yeah.
Nice trips to France, Italy, and Cyprus for a few people. Oh, the Cyprus game's the day before my birthday.
Your missus is watching. What a birthday present that would be.
No, not a chance.
No?
Not a chance would she... Would
December sunshine.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? But
I've seen someone put on Twitter before, Google Maps, Ayia Napa to Limassol. It's only 90 minutes.
Funny enough, I was talking to a cousin-in-law, if that makes sense, a couple of weeks ago, and he'd just come back and he was like, I think he might have gone to watch these or something, and he's going, Ayia Napa and all that. If we get one of them, he said, it'll be fun and games over there. The only problem with that is, I mean, you look at Leon and you look at the other one, and I think the one at Atlanta game's getting moved.
Yeah.
But they're trips that you can go, well, I can go there, or I can go there, and I can get a train, or there. Cyprus,
yeah.
It's plane, or if you want to row. Or get a cruise, maybe get a cruise.
Go from Egypt, that's enough, couldn't you?
Yeah, but that's the problem. You're sort of stuck with the fact that you've got to get a plane,
yeah.
Unless you're if you're in the RAF, you're laughing. There's a nice base there.
There's that ghost town, isn't there, as well?
Yeah, it's when it's split, wasn't it? It was. I
can't even the city's called there.
It's Turkey, Cyprus thing.
It's dangerous water.
It's not getting. Well, yeah, it is dangerous waters. Yeah, let's leave that there.
Just before we do go on. When we went to Cyprus when I was younger, I remember we were going across that bit on a boat, and they have the people that the fellas there in the army, they make sure no one crosses the border, and someone's boat had broke down right by there, and they were waving frantically, and the current was taking them closer and closer and closer. It's I must have been 8, 9, 10 at the time. It's etched into my memory, just the terror on their faces.
Well, we went 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago we went, and we went 3 years ago, and it was for my sister's wedding. And funny enough, that was the last time we were in Europe, because I remember wearing the white. Remember the white? And I love that kit, the one against Wolfsburg, that white one. And for a wedding present, which I got her a year after, I got that shirt framed, because it was like a European away game, wedding, and I got the date on the back with the names, and I got everyone who was at the wedding to sign the shirt.
Brilliant. Very romantic, that pet.
It's good, isn't it? It's good, because I thought, well, it's got to be good. I haven't got a wedding present for a year, so it's got to be good. So there you go. They're just our stories. These are things you get. These are things you get. Don't get that on the Blue. I'm only messing. Paddy's mailbag is full of these stories.
I think so. I'm not listening to the latest one. I went on it last week, and I'm never going to go on again.
He's asked me to go on a few times, but he needs the dates to just. Yeah, we'll sort it out. Let's get into this. We're through. I was really worried about. Well, actually, I was worried, but I was more worried about Rosenberg because of everything. But 2-0 danger scoreline because of. And that annoyed me. I thought last week we should have put these out of sight.
Yeah, in that game, I think you look back to the Rooney chance just before half time in that match. I think that if that goes in, it's going to be 3-0 at half time. Their heads are going to go down straight away, and then you look at a 4-5, 6-0, and then you can play. The kids there, John Joe Kenny can have a run out, etc., etc. So, yeah, it was 2-0. I wouldn't say I was worried really. It was just. I think when we were talking about it on our shows in the week, the thing I was stressing was get through that first 20 minutes and you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And in a funny sort of way, I think that might have hampered them. I imagine Koeman's probably drilling that message home. Don't concede early on. Don't let the fans get up. Try and take the sting out the game. And they did that really well. And it's almost as if they got through that spell in the game and then they thought, job done here.
Well,
we're fine now, and then they lost the way a little
I thought
bit.
it was quite interesting because when you could see the pictures of the crowd and stuff, it wasn't this absolutely mad hostile occasion that it was made out to be. The camera was panning and it was on like families and stuff, like one end was really good scene, but it wasn't like a scene of like absolute chaos. The atmosphere sounded great, but it didn't sound intimidating. It didn't sound like, oh, we've got loads to worry about. There was the running track and it looked like the players could focus on the game, and I thought that, so I wasn't worried about that. The team itself, obviously a few changes. The midfield, well, from what it's been, was decimated, really, wasn't it? No Klassen because of an injury. Garner with a slight injury, and Ronald Koeman said he actually said, I think on Thursday morning, he actually was fine, but he just said I wasn't prepared to risk him with the Chelsea game ahead, which is odd because he did say he was going to take each game on its own, but I suppose
no Schneiderlin for that
obviously Besic came in. It was a good mix. It's a good mix. It's a good mix of young and old and in between. It was just in slight areas I was worried about. Playing Besic next to Schneiderlin in a 2 when Besic hasn't played for a while, it was a bit of a worry. And the other thing was the right hand side, which I thought developed as the game went on. But as you just said, we started really brightly. We just kept the ball, moved the ball, and for 35 minutes I thought we were fine. We were just using the ball, being very clever. They looked like they had very little in them. They didn't really have a threat, and as you say, we coasted through most of that first half quite easily.
Yeah, the only issue which it kind of developed throughout the half was that they seemed to figure us out in the centre of midfield a bit. I think when you've got Schneiderlin and Besic in there, well, say when you've got Schneiderlin and Gay there, you've got a really good blend of attributes, haven't there? And it's something that a lot of fans have been told about, whether you need the two of them in there. I think I'd always go for the two of them in there because they give you that blend and they give you that platform. And I think when you say you don't need two holding players, it kind of lets the attackers off the hook a little bit because they've got such a good platform to go on. But I think Besic is quite similar to Schneiderlin in that sense, that he's a player who, you think back to that spell when he played really well under Roberto Martinez's last season. It was about 5 or 10 games just after Christmas. It included like the City game in the Cup and the 3-3 game at Chelsea. Was fantastic there, and what he was doing really well in those matches was he was dropping into that little space between the back four, getting the ball and giving it, and that's something that Schneiderlin likes to do. And it was almost as if both of them were looking really deep and getting really close to the back four, and he sagged back. And ultimately, if you look at that goal, the one that they scored, that's where it came from, wasn't it? There's a huge gap in that midfield, and you think Idrissa Gueye is a lot more mobile, a lot more alert to shutting that kind of danger down. He's more on the front foot than Schneider. He's going to go and try and win the ball back, hassle players, and the blend just didn't really seem to work in there until a bit later in the game when the tempo slowed. And I think Hajduk, to the credit, figured that out as the half went on and tried to exploit us there.
Yeah, and it shows how good Garner is. I think we always call it like firefighting. He instinctively gets to the ball. He knows where it's going to be. Whereas I think Besic trying to do that job last night was getting there like a second too late, and the ball had already gone by the time he was getting there. There was obviously a shout for maybe Davis coming in, but again, Davis had played against Man City, and again, as you mentioned, it was a good chance to give Besic some time. He hasn't played for a very long time. He hasn't started a game since, like, I don't know, we're talking maybe April last year, something like that.
He got injured in Rooney's testimonial, didn't he? Yeah. So it's been a while. I think he didn't have a good game, but I think some of the criticism of it has been a little bit over the top, to be fair. I think there's clearly attributes to his game. You know, he can pass the ball. He's quite tenacious. He's got quick feet. I think we've seen that again in that spell under Martinez, and he's always been tantalising, hasn't he, Besic? And he always tends to put 5-10 games together where you think, this lad looks like he can do something, and he gets injured or he gets dropped out the team. And maybe Koeman with Gareth Barry's going just thinking, he's probably the player in the squad I've got who's the most similar to Morgan Schneider. And let's just have a bit of a look at him before the transfer window. And like you said there, let's not forget this kid's not played for a long time. He's going to be rusty. And
like you just mentioned, it's not like he's put 20 games together in a row, which he really needs. And that's the problem. Will he ever do that? Last night, really, oddly, was perfect for someone like James McCarthy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like
what's going on there.
It doesn't seem like he's just got one of those one of those injuries. Like Ross Barkley's got an injury.
The wrist injury.
Coutinho's got an injury. He's got one of those injuries. Yeah. Well, I think Ross has actually got an injury, but I don't know if he originally had one. But no, Besic, as I say, and you know, you're right. He needed those 90 minutes, even though I wanted to come off after about 55. He needed those 90. Sometimes you just need time, and I think that's where Koeman's been quite. He's been canny in one way. It's been a risk in another way. He used the Rosenberg games very much like pre-season games, and he's used these games not as pre-season, but to show people like Lookman and give Martin and obviously Besic game last night, just using that squad. Lennon, when he came on in the second half, he's using the squad and he's taking calculated risks, and it's paid off because it has been a tough start to the season, and it'll continue to be a tough start. And instead of just going, well, we've got to win this, and we were playing the same team for the first 3 games, he has changed it up a little bit and give players, you know, a little, dip them into the first team and then brought them out. So I think from that point of view, it's worked really well.
Yeah, it's going to be a long season, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going to be a really long season. And I remember when we came in at the end of last season, we were talking about the Europa League and the challenges that it'll bring in, and you made the point about how well Mourinho managed this competition last season with United, and it was about taking calculated risks. You had certain players, you know, you think of the goalkeeper Romero, Rocco played a lot of games, Mkhitaryan only pretty much exclusively played in the Europa League last season, and maybe that's something Koeman's going to do with the likes of Martino, the likes of Ademola Lookman, who've played in both of those games. He's going to say, you're going to be my man in these European games, you know, you're going to get your chance to impress in all these. So in that sense, I didn't really have much of an issue with the rotation. But I have to admit, at half time I was thinking, wouldn't mind Idrissa Gueye being in this
Well, that's
team.
the thing, isn't it? And that's why it was calculated, because if we hadn't got through, we would have had a big squad and nowhere, and not been able to use it as well, because that was always the pitfall Moyes fell in. He wanted a big squad, but he couldn't have one because he didn't have the amount of games. And then when we did have the amount of games, he never had a big squad, and it was always like that. You know, he's brought players in and he's got young players that he needs to blood, and there's players that he hasn't sent out on loan that he could have, maybe like John Joe Kenny, and there's other players like Martina who, in games like last night and some of the group games, can play those games because that level of quality will suit his game, and that means that on the Sunday or whatever, you know, you've got Holgate, and it means that you can bring Lookman in and go, you know what, you're going to be a good player, but you need games, and those games will be the Europa games. But what it means is you're not fielding a team entirely of young players and squad players. There should be a nice blend, like there was last night.
Yeah, it's the fatigue issue as well. I know people might scoff at that. You know, they've only just started the season, but going to Manchester City away on a Monday, going out there on a Thursday, then going to the champions away. Now you're playing the favourites for the league and the champions in the space of 6 days with a European game in between. It's going to be tough, and if you want to go to that game against Chelsea and have a realistic chance of getting out of a point or 3 points, you need lads who are going to be fit and going to be able to work hard and put a real shift in. And granted, City had 10 men for long spells on Monday, but being there and watching it, they put a huge shift in that second half and the first half as well, because they're so good, so clever on the ball, they keep it so well. So you've like you said, you've got to take these calculated risks at times, and I imagine we'll see a lot of rotation and a lot of games like that in Europe this season, because you're going to go to places where the atmosphere is going to be up. You're going to go to places where the grass is going to be dead long, and you're going to struggle to get into a rhythm early on. So I think it's a performance we want to see improvements on, but probably one we're going to have to sit through a few times this season in Europe.
I think it's about getting the blend right as well, and I think one of the things for me last night where the blend wasn't right was the right hand side. You know, he starts the same right hand side that he started in the home game, and in the home game it worked at times, although I didn't think personally Lookman did himself justice in the first game. But a lot of people sort of said, well, maybe that's because he was playing with a right back who wants to get forward and go into his space. And I thought maybe last night was a good chance to see Lookman with maybe Holgate behind him, someone of a more of defensive, of mind, who will allow Lookman to get forward and in a way say, well, you don't really need to get back. Because there was one last night where the ball came to Lookman and, you know, Martina bombed past him and Lookman never got him the ball, and next minute with no one on our right hand side, they went down our left, and that's what I mean, is you've got to have that balance, and maybe if Lookman had played with Holgate, Lookman could have had all the time in the world on that right, done what he wanted, knowing that there was someone behind him. So I think that's something the manager's got to get right as well. And I think, you know, second half when when Lennon came on. Lennon likes to attack, but he gives you a shape. And I was really disappointed in Lookman last night. He every time he got the ball, no matter where it was, he wanted to do a trick or take on the player instead of thinking in a team way and give it to Martina and then go over the top and get it back, or play a little 1-2 and then get it back in space. He never got the ball in the areas, the right hand side back near the penalty spot where people are scared to touch you, and that's where he's got to learn. But as I say, I don't think necessarily the selection of having Martina behind them helped them.
I still think we're trying to find out what Ademola Lookman actually is, in terms of a player. I mean, I think we probably all categorise him as a flying winger, but
I actually don't.
I don't think he's that type of player either. I'm struggling to think of a time in his short Everton career where he's got the ball out on the flank and gone past somebody and whipped the cross into the box. I'm not entirely sure that's his game, and I think the idea, I imagine, with playing that last night is that what Lookman does pretty well, I think, is drop in field and find little pockets and get on the ball. And I think obviously he wanted him to come inside and Martina to bomb on, and like you said, it did work at times in the first leg. But yeah, I think Koeman's still trying to find out the best way to use him. I mean, we've seen him on the left at times last season, we've seen him on the right most of the time start of this season. He played off Lukaku at times last season as well, didn't he, when he came on? So I think Koeman's still just trying to find the best way for him to get into the team. But I don't think he's really grabbed his chance, has he, in any of the games he's played so far. And he's one of those players because of how exciting he is and how young he is. And we all remember how delighted everyone was for him when he scored that goal against City. And you're desperate for him to do something spectacular and force himself into the team. And if he'd scored in the game, in the home leg, set one up, played well here, suddenly he's saying to the manager, you can't take me off this team because I give you pace, give you trickery, and it's something you've not got. But he's not really done anything yet, has he, to force his way into the side. And I think he'll be an asset as the season goes on, but I just think it's a case of finding out what he is, because he's only been at the club 8 months still. He's still a young lad who was playing non-league football 2 years ago, wasn't he? So you forget how much of a rapid development he's had, and it's probably the first time he's ever been in an environment like that, like that last night as well. So he's being tested all the time. He's learning about his own game, and I think the manager's learning about his game as well. It's
probably the first time in his professional career he's sort of hit a bit of a brick wall. Because you're right, he came in and he scored the goal against City, and I'm not saying he's living on that, but that's obviously, you go, well, he did that, and the next couple of games after that he came on, and did something, was it against Palace where he came on and he, but
they're not goals or assists.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's living on what he did in the first couple of games, and he hasn't really done anything since. I'm not saying he's had many chances, but he hasn't done anything. And you're right, he's got to start creating, because he's got to take his chance. That's the thing. When Tom Davies got in the team, he grabbed it and stayed and kept himself in the team by hook or by crook. And you can excuse when he has like against City, he wasn't great. You look at him, oh, he's a young lad, and we've seen how good he can be. He will be up and down, and that happens to everyone. Holgate's the same. He's had good games and bad games. Some games been magnificent. Monday night against Man City, he was magnificent till header. It happens. He's a young lad. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's another one. He's been absolutely brilliant. He gives something to the side, no matter what it is, and that's why the manager loves him. Lookman's got to do the same. He's for all the fancy touches and trying to nutmeg people or trying to do a trick. It's when you do it, where you do it, and how you do it in context of helping the team. There's no point just doing something for the sake of doing it, and I think that's something you've got to drill into players. And I know they'll be like, well, this is like the English disease, we coach stuff out of them. The very best players know when to pass the ball, know when to do a trick, and it all turns all the time. So you're keeping the man marking you thinking. But if the man marking you thinks every time he gets the ball he's going to try and nutmeg me, then you just go grab your mate next to you, say, stand here, he ain't getting through us. It doesn't matter how many six you've got. If you get a wall of 3, if you know he's not going to pass that ball, then you don't have to worry. And that's what he's got to get into his game. He's got to get that variety of what he does. And until he does that, I mean, his 5-yard passing's horrendous. It's horrendous. Last week about 4 times, and I watched him last night play a little 5-yard pass inside. He got intercepted, and they were away. And they're the things that managers, that destroys them.
Especially managers like Koeman.
Exactly.
Well.
Yeah.
I mean,
you haven't got time. Koeman's given them a chance, but what he's going to say to all of them is, if you get that chance, You've got to take it straight away. I haven't got time to be messing about. This is why people moan about Chelsea not having any youngsters and stuff. They don't have time. If you get a chance, you've got to take it. And if you don't take it, I'm sorry. That's the pressure at the top.
I mean, I'm not worried about Lookman. I mean, I imagine he's going to go on and be an asset for us later in the season. But I think the other thing as well to factor into this is that by scoring in the 2 minutes he was on against City, I think he immediately raised the bar and what people expected of him. I think when we signed him, I think Koeman actually said he's going to be involved in the first team sometimes, but the under-23s for most of the end of the season as well. So if he'd just been part of that squad and suddenly been brought into this squad, suddenly you're looking at him thinking he's a young lad making his way slowly, but because he had that huge impact to begin with, and everyone thought, wow, what a gem we've got here, because the ball dropped him in the box and he slotted one through, well, the hologram, wasn't it, basically Claudio Bravo. He immediately raised expectations and he did well against Palace, so I think we kind of got a glimpse and all got very excited about him, and he's going to fluctuate, isn't he? He's going to, especially the type of player he is as well, as a winger.
I mean, without giving him too much, I think what he needs to do is watch what Calvert-Lewin does. And I don't expect him to be the same player, but if he can do things like some of the things, like on Monday night again, for the last maybe 5 or 10 minutes, if he could have come on and help stretch the City backline by making intelligent runs. Okay, he doesn't look like a big strong lad, but he looks like he's got the frame that he could be. He could put it. He could be one of those sort of smaller lads who backs into, backs into. Get yourself a big arse. That's what you basically need.
He's just Pickford about that.
Well, yeah, if he could get himself in positions where he uses his pace just to stretch. Yeah. And I'm just about intelligent running, not strength. Intelligent running. He could be an asset because at the moment you look at what we've got up front. We've got very little, and that's where he could make a name for himself. Coming on last 10 minutes up front, stretching defences, he could do it, but that's up to him to go and say, right, I'm going to change my game a little bit here. He seems to be good enough to do it. So, I mean, Calvert-Lewin stuck on the left last night. I thought that was a strange decision, but ultimately, again, for the team, does it for the team. And a few times he got on the left and come inside and made a few things happen.
Yeah, he was the outlet, wasn't he, in the first half for us, and it was a bit strange to see him go back out wide after playing so well up front on Monday. But again, he was an asset to us, and in the first half, if we were going to score, it looked like it was going to come through him, and he's got so many positive aspects to his game. I've seen people on Twitter saying he was slow after the game on Monday night, and I think he's deceptively pretty quick. He's got quite a loping stride, hasn't he? He eats the ground up. He's quite strong, and I think Koeman likes to use him, and I think we'll probably see this a lot in Europe this year when you're up against a fullback who might not necessarily relish the physical battle, might not want to run up and down all day. I think that's going to be a position he's going to play him in. Against Rosenberg, he was out wide on the right as well for those games. So he's good. There are areas obviously he needs to improve on still. I think there's so many times when he gets the ball one-on-one with a defender, I just think just run at him. He seems very hesitant in those sorts of situations, and I think we've seen that against Stoke and against City at times on Monday. But I mean, like you said there, Paddy, he's had such an impressive start to the season, hasn't he? He's somebody who seems to have been emboldened by that World Cup win in the summer. Thinking scoring the winning goal for England in the final. He's come back and he's walking around like he's 10 feet tall, and all of a sudden he's gone from a player who was on the fringes, being brought in every now and then in the first team late last season, into a lad who you say is almost certain to be starting against Chelsea on Sunday. I
think the one thing he's got to do though is, people might think I'm being harsh, but I don't think he's got to score more goals.
Oh yeah,
he's got to score more goals. I mean, we've played 6 games this season and he scored once. He's got to be scoring at least. He's got to be a 1 and 3 striker at least. If he's going to play in the Premier League, he's going to play for us. He can't be just someone that you go, he's boss up front and he does this and does that. He's got to be putting the ball in the back of net. He had a great chance last night to make it 2-1, and it would have. I mean, obviously the game was pretty much dead anyway, but that would have really killed the game. They're the ones he's got to be putting in. So I know, again, he's only young and he's going to get better, but if he wants to be, he'll only be he's at the moment. He is our number 1 striker. Sancho's injured and we haven't brought anyone in.
Yeah.
Now if we get to this time next week, he could be one of 2 strikers we have. Both of those strikers have to be 1 and 3 strikers. They both have to be. I know that's not easy, but if he doesn't want to be getting replaced this time January or this time next summer, he's got to be a 1 and 3 striker for what he does. Otherwise it's pointless. unless he's creating so many chances for other people. But he's got to be getting better putting that ball in the back of the net. And again, people might go, well, he's a young lad, he's hard. I'm just saying what the realities are of a young player. That he's looked great in the last couple of weeks, but his job ultimately is to set goals up and score goals.
The thing that makes me not really worry about him though is that he's a lad who seems to really relish learning. And I think, like, you think to the performance he put in at Anfield in that derby when all the young lads came in. Late last season, he looked completely lost. You know, he sort of playing up front. He was wide on the left, pushed up, and the game just completely passed him by. And he didn't seem to want to be physical in any kind of battles. His hold up play was all over the place. And you contrast that in the space of a few months into the performance he put in Manchester City. He was mature. He was intelligent. His hold up plays better. His movements off the ball's got a lot sharper and savvier as well. And he's making better decisions. You look at Rooney's goal on Monday night. You know, the composure there. You'd think a young forward in that position usually, you'd think, see the goal, eyes would light up and he'd lash it across goal, or he'd lash it over the bar, and to check back in and find the pass is really encouraging. So I think he's somebody who's adding things to his game all the time, and hopefully that'll extend to finishing going forward as well.
I think you're right what you were saying before about him playing in that tournament. I think at Anfield he looked awestruck by the occasion, like many of our players do. Tom Davies looked awestruck the same, like slightly different reasons. Davis tried too hard being the local lad and ended up, kicking people and stuff, where he just looked like so out of his depth. Whereas that tournament, I think, he's gone to a tournament in a foreign country, they've won the tournament, he scored the winning goal. What more do you want? Okay, it's the under-20s, but if that's your level, that's your level. That's your age group. He's won it, and like you say, he's come back 10 feet taller, and he's played in front of hostile crowds and a big pressure situation, and he's took it on board and he's brought it into the Premier League. And again, that's exactly what you want. And I feel sorry for players that played in that tournament that have gone back to their clubs, and it's like, must be like when you have a boss holiday and you come home, you have to go straight back to work, and you're just like, did that really happen? Like, this is my life now. And you'll have players like that who, look at someone like Kieran Dyer. He looks like he's gone on to Forest and he's having a storm of time. He's taking that with him. It's great. I feel sorry for players at other clubs that are just like back on the bench. It's just like
Kenny.
Well, yeah.
It's the mentality of it's quite, because you think back to someone like Kenny in particular, and maybe Dal to an extent as well, and they probably have the best season of their lives. They've won the league with Everton. They've been out to the World Cup, and it's like, this is fantastic. Career's really going somewhere, and they go back to Everton, and Koeman says to them, you're not going to be playing every week. And it might be the same with Lookman actually as well. He came back to training pretty early. I think he was quite keen to make an impression, but if Koeman goes to him, right, you're going to be on the bench actually now, it might be a bit of a for those lads, might it?
Yeah, Kenny, I've got no problem with Kenny. I really think there's a plan for him to be the right back. I just think it's going to take a little bit more time. But I thought football in March first half, I thought it was all nice and tidy. But I just thought what was annoying was he just didn't make enough chances. We had the one where Rooney, the header that he mistimed, and I think Sigurdsson had a half volley which he just steered wide. And again, those things allowed the opposition into because the opposition are thinking, well, these are not trying to create chances. That means we can all push 5 yards further forward. So that was disappointing that we almost were playing in like a second gear. It's very hard to get out of second gear when you're playing in it, when you have to. But they got the goal just before half time, the worst time possible for us. But the strike itself, unbelievable strike. It was like Roberto Carlos's. It was going over there, it ended up over there, and there's nothing the keeper could do. But
I see people criticising the keeper.
No, there's nothing.
Because when you see that slow motion shot from behind the goal and it moved, you see the movement to the ball, it looks like he could maybe shift, but when you watch it back in real time, the pace he hits it with, and you factor in that swerve as well, there's absolutely no way he's getting anywhere near that.
Nothing. But the disappointing thing is, it came from one of our throws on the right, and how god awful were we with throws all on the right hand side. Every time I was screaming, because all I wanted to see, right, was, it's like an old Sunday League thing or whatever, amateur football thing. If there's a throw, no one's, like amateur football, you know how everyone is with the touch, it's all, especially when you're playing on a terrible pitch. So what you normally used to do is, if you had a check, you go like that, and then you go, and throw it down the line, and you get your forward to just make a run into the corner. Or the old-fashioned, throw it down the line, get the tall lad to flick it on, and the centre forwards away. Why do professional footballers feel like every time they have to have a throw, it always has to be to foot to get it back nice to when there's all these players? Why not just do down the line into the corner and you hold it in the corner, win a foul, win another throw, whatever. But we know we're on the halfway line. We try to play a little clever one. It gets nicked off us, and all our players are set up to go that way, and the next minute they're all having to go that way, and that created that space you were talking about before. That lad just run into Baines. Probably should have come, but he was worried about the lad going across him. But he was getting marked by Snidling, I think. So Baines should have probably have gone in there and maybe put a block in. But once he unleashes it, there's a very little Pickford could do.
I think the answer to your question about the throw is just complacency. I think they got complacent.
But they've done that all half. Like all half, they were trying to be clever instead of just going throw it down the line.
I think if it's 1-0, they don't do that, do they? If it's only 1-0, there's only one goal advantage. They're thinking, let's be pragmatic here and get it down the line. So maybe there's just a little bit of complacency, and I think you're right. It's just that gap in midfield was just so prominent for me throughout the first half, and it almost felt as if whenever the play broke down, they were quick to get it into the area of the pitch and try and exploit us. But like you said, so you can analyse these sorts of things in great detail, can't you? Everton gave the ball away cheaply. Baines should have done a bit more, but if a lad hits it like that from 35 yards and it gets that much swerve on it and it goes in the top corner, sometimes you've got to hold your hands up and say, fair enough. As I'm sure a lot of their fans are saying, Sexton's goal.
But I imagine the manager will look at it and go back and go, pick out 4 throw-ins and go, why is there no one moving? Why is there no one giving them an option? Why isn't there coming in front of the player, to keep the ball? Because every time we got a throw, we just seem to give it away back to them, and that's supposed to be our advantage. So
we've always been awful at throw-ins. Since been watching.
And we had a foul one last week, didn't we, in Stoke? So going in half time 1-0, I was pretty terrified that they were just going to come out and destroy us. I honestly was. I just thought their tails are up here. We can't get out of second gear, and we really need to up this. Otherwise, it's going to, these are going to get another one, and we're going to fall to bits. But people like Gylfi Sigurdsson had other plans, and literally, what was so amazing about this, it was the kick off, and in my head it seemed like it was not longer into the half by miles, but just a little bit longer. But it was 13 seconds. They take the kick, comes over. I think the lad goes to hit it. He half miscontrols it, bounces up, and Sigurdsson just thinks, I'm having a dig here. And then I've seen people go, he slipped. No, he never slipped. It was just that when he hit it, he just fell backwards. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, I could go in that. I could go. Like you see those disaster films where you see like the meteorite come over someone's head and they go. I'm thinking this. I'm going, what? And then when you just hit the back of the net, I was thinking, I was just mad. I just went mental, and I was thinking, that's it. That's it. You've done it. You've just. So everyone talks about scoring just before the half, but scoring at that point is just the killer. And there's that video going around of their fans all bouncing, and then you just see the goal going in, and it just goes. But there's that second of disbelief, as in,
the centre half puts his hand on his head like that, doesn't he? He's like, oh my god, I can't believe he scored. You know, like when Coleman in after the Oviedo goal, he just stands there like, oh my god, can't believe that's happened. It's very much like that.
But even on the telly, it was weird because they never. It was then weird because I thought, honest to God, for a couple of seconds I was thinking, I think they allowed this goal because it was so quiet, and the commentators didn't seem to make a big thing out of it.
I don't think they realised who'd scored. I imagine they were probably just settling back into the seats, because I watched the ITV one obviously at the time, and they didn't say Sigurdsson's name for a while, and then I watched the one that Everton put out of Alan Irwin commentating, and I don't think he realised who scored either.
That might. So sometimes I think some of those things are recorded maybe after you.
But if you go back and listen to it, he's very hesitant in saying who scored. So I don't think a lot of people. I think just everyone was kind of caught off guard by it. But we were talking just before about how important it was to get through this tie based on all the signs you made this summer and the squad's prepared for the Europa League. And you look at the money Everton paid for Sigurdsson and how much of that's been potentially made back by that goal, because that just kills that.
About £2 million quid. You're winning. It's about £2 million quid.
No, it's more than that.
It's not much more, honestly. What you get, I think you get £500,000 for getting out the group stage.
I forget that point. I was going to make that.
It's ridiculous how bad, how like the discrepancy is. It's like UEFA want to make this an event, and yet the money's ridiculous.
Well, there's other things as well, isn't it?
Of course. I'm not asked what will we pay for the
No, it's like it's not just the monetary value. It's the the morale of everyone at the club if you went out there and stuff like that. And it's such a huge goal because, like you said, everybody, and you could see that from that video, their fans, they were right up for it going into that second half, and you're thinking we're going to come under the cosh big time here. And there's so many things about the goal which I like, but I put on Twitter last night, the thing that I like most about it is that he actually tried it. He actually had a go at doing it, because I think if you look back to last season, it was Ross Barkley's goal against Watford was the only goal Everton scored from open play outside the box, so on the penultimate game of the season. And I think if you look at the squad now, you've got more players in there who are capable of those sorts of moments. Like Sandro scored a lot of long range goals from Malaga, Rooney we know can do it, and Sigurdsson as well. And just having that presence and just that awareness from knowing the keeper's up his line here, and just having a go at it as well, because I don't think that there's any other players in the squad from last season. Maybe Kieran Dowell's probably the only other one who might have had a go at that and been able to execute it. So that ambition and that kind of inventiveness to actually try it, I think, shows a lot about the type of player we've got.
You're missing one clear key point about that, though. It's him knowing he is good enough to do that, though. Yeah. That's the main thing. It's if anyone was worried about what we were signing, that's what we're signing. We're signing someone who's got the belief he can do it, but can do it. And that's a big point. I've seen players who've tried stupid things, and you just go, why did you do that? You know you're not good enough. But when he tried it, he tried because he knew he's got the ability. Some players just have the ability to do that. I mean, what did you think about his overall performance last night?
I think I was quite impressed. I mean, I don't think he's going to be like a silky number 10 in a David Silva Ozil mode. I don't think he's going to play that kind of role. I think he's a lot more workmanlike. He's quite straightforward in the way he receives the ball and lays it off. But I think what he probably does better than those sorts of players, he can create decisive moments in games. He scores a lot of goals, and you think back to matches last season, Middlesbrough away, West Ham away, all those draws and losses we had away from home, where the game just got away from Everton and they needed something to spark them. He's a player who's shown for Swansea time and time again down the years that you can pull out a cross that can fall on someone's head and get you back in the game. He can score a free kick, or he can slide tackle a volley in for 45 yards as well. I think he's a game changer, and that's not a player we had at times last season. And the thing that's encouraged me about Sigurdsson, and you think back to last season, is he scored at Old Trafford, he scored the winner at Anfield, set one up at Stamford Bridge, scored at Arsenal, scored at Manchester City. Controlled the game against us at all. Yeah, he was fantastic that day as well. He scored the penalty as well against us. So he's a lad who seems to relish that big moment and that big stage. So in that sense, I don't think we're getting the silkiest number 10. I don't think it's going to be.
I don't think he wants a silky number 10 though.
But the other thing as well, which was fantastic about him last night, I thought, was his movement off the ball. He made some really good runs in behind us. There's one in the second half where he bent his run and got behind, and he should have done better actually getting it across.
It was quite lazy. Again, that was just after he scored.
I think he was knackered,
and he was through. And Calvert-Lewin was for a tap in, and the cross was so lazy. When he crossed, he sort of just went, as in to say, yeah, that was the best I could do. But it was but the run, you're right, was great. I think what we've got is we've got a player as well who's prepared to put a shift in, which is what I mean.
Big time.
Nearly give a penalty in the first half. I mean, it was a nothing shove, but some of these refs. But he was there to sort of defend as well, and I think that's why the manager likes him, because he's willing to put a shift in. Some of his touches last night were really nice. The half volley he had in the first half, I thought was really good effort, considering it was sort of like not. He didn't half hit it, but it was one of them where he just sort of threw a foot at it, and the quality of the shot, and that just shows you, I think he's just a quality player coming into the peak years, and he's had those games, he's had those seasons at Swansea to sort of give him he's one of those players that when he was at Swansea he was so good because he was allowed to play in his own position, the pressure was off, and now we hopefully are going to get the fruit of that. And he'll come into the team and add that little, as you just said, that little bit of dynamism that women need, and the other things are set pieces, and he's a lovely little footballer.
Yeah, and I think the other thing as well is scoring a goal like that, and it might sound straightforward to say, but it releases so much pressure on him straight away as a £45 million player coming into a new club. Now, I think you can relate this to Wayne Rooney as well. You know, when there's focus on a signing, whether that be a big name or a big price, if Sigurdsson went 5 games without scoring a goal or making a goal, people will start going, "Oh, we've paid all this money for this lad, and he's not done anything yet." Yeah. If Rooney had gone 5 games, we'd be like, this lad's finished. He's not got it in anymore. So to get off the mark straight away and to do it in such a spectacular fashion, I think it'll lift a lot of the pressure that would have inevitably been on him.
Yeah, and that goal went round the world. I seen it. I think it was on Sports. It's always a good way of knowing if something's good. If it goes on Sports Centre in the States, they have this 10 moments of the day, and obviously, I don't think football's high on their agenda. It's always like, some home run or whatever, and it was one of them, like, and I seen them tweet about it, and I thought, well, it's gone round the world. But as you can see from this picture, fucking tall he is as
massive,
well.
Isn't he?
Michael Keane is like the mountain in Game of Thrones. He's not far off him as well, is he? You know what I mean?
He's got lovely hair as well.
Yeah,
it's pretty immaculate.
Can't wait to see his dragon. Can't wait to see it. So I mean, absolutely amazing goal. But I thought we reacted. Didn't we reacted brilliantly after that goal? No. I know we had a couple of chances where we got over the top, and like we just mentioned, the one where Calvert-Lewin should have had a tap in. But I thought, and I said this against Rosenborg, and I said this last season loads of times. To control the game, you need the ball. There's no point allowing your opposition. I know some managers don't mind the opposition having the ball and then breaking, but I think in games like this, you have to have the ball to control the game. You have to just use it and keep it and move it, and then just move teams around. That's what the best teams do. They mightn't go anywhere, and maybe that's what we did first half, and a little bit different first half, but I thought in the second half, once we had that goal, I thought we just needed to control the ball a little bit better, and we just allowed them to get too much of a head of steam at time, which obviously culminated in them getting a penalty. But it was how many times we'd given the ball away cheaply before that, which had annoyed me. I think even for the penalty, we had it in the corner. Dominic Calvert-Lewin had it in the corner, and he tried a back heel in the corner, a la Bessage, to allow them to have the ball. And it was just little moments like that absolutely frustrate me, and I'm sure they frustrate the manager. Again, I always go back to Sunday League. If in doubt, kick it out. Don't try back heels. And I just think we have to get better. I mean, that's why this man at the end is so good, Schneiderlin, because that's what he did last night. He's so good on the ball.
Second half, he was fantastic.
Oh, he was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. But I think a lot more players have to just get the ball, keep the ball, and move the ball. And far too many times last night, we just, certainly after we scored, we just allowed them just. And I know it's different from we're sitting here and we're thinking, well, they get another one, then the pressure's on. But take that pressure off us. Keep the ball better. Work it into spaces. All right, if we don't score, then we don't score. But don't give it away cheaply in areas that are gonna hurt us.
It was a really strange spell, wasn't it? Because it was almost as if you take the goal out of it, they just kind of carried on where they left off, wasn't it? At the end of the second half, it was as though they came out with this mindset, right? We're going to attack now, and the goal. It didn't really change that because they know they've still got to keep going for it. They had a bit of a head of steam from that point on, but. Yeah, I completely agree in that sense, and it's that word again, complacency. I just think there's a lot of complacency in the way Everton played last night from the start, and then especially after getting that goal and knowing that the side was effectively over, it was almost as if to say, big relief now. We'll just amble through the rest of this game. But yeah, mistakes start to get made, poor passing, and I think Williams for the penalty ultimately epitomised that, because we were talking beforehand, and it's a tackle he made 2 or 3 times.
That was the third time, and I know a couple of people pulled me up on Twitter saying, "Oh, well, he didn't have it." I haven't said he's rubbish. I haven't said he had a terrible game. What I said was he's an experienced defender who cannot be making the same mistake again and again and again. In the first half, we got a little bit lucky with a possible penalty really early on, where their player was given offside, but went round Pickford. I don't know what Pickford would have done. He knew. No, he knew. He's so good, he just knows. But on this one, it annoyed me because it bobbled. First of all, I can't remember who it was. Someone was in front of Williams, and they tried to go through the back of someone, and they'd missed, and the ball had gone through their legs. And then Williams is in the box, and all I'm thinking is, just stand up. He's going to have to turn you, and he doesn't. He'd done this twice already, and both of them with fouls. He tries to nick in front. Now, Ashley Williams is he looks like a big clumsy person, and I think he's a good defender, but in Europe, if he does this, he's going to be punished every time, and he was punished last night, trying to nick in front, which, you know what, someone like Baines does it, he can do it really well, because even if there's contact, and the fella goes down on the floor, the ref's more likely to go, nah, because look at the size of him, look at the size of him, and look at the size of you. Ashley Williams is a different kettle of fish. You know, if he goes into the back of someone and they fall over, the ref's going to go, must have been a touch there, and that's what he did last night. And to be fair, it was a penalty. He didn't get the ball, and he's got to. I don't know. He's 31, 32. He's got to learn. He can't do that. And if you've already been punished twice in a match, come on.
Do you know what? People were criticising Snidland for going to ground when he was on a yellow card on Monday, saying his game awareness has not really been good there because he's diving in, he doesn't really need to. And I'm not really sure I completely bought into that, but it applies to Williams in this situation. You know, if you're a lad who's captain of your country, you played at the European Championship, you played in Europe before, but with Swansea as well, experienced Premier League defender, you know, especially after you've been pulled up twice beforehand. Now, if it was the first one, maybe you could understand these thoughts. I might be able to get away with this a little bit and try and nick in front, and the referee might not give it. But to get pulled up on it twice before already, and to know the referee's onto you in that sense, to know you're in the penalty box, it was just a minus. It's a shame, because I think in the game, in the first leg in this one, and Manchester City, I thought he played really well in both matches. He's probably a bit unlucky to get brought off against City in the end, in that game as well. And
but for this game, I think he got brought off for this game, though.
Yeah, probably right, actually, yeah. But I mean, even in the first half, he did okay as well. And you're thinking, you know, he's turning a corner now. I've seen a lot of people praising him on Twitter, and then undoes it completely with that moment of madness.
I like Ashley Williams. I don't know why people think, or some people don't. I like him. I think he's a really solid defender. I think he helped organise us last season. I think what he's got to realise is he's probably been very good at that through his career, right? Nicking in front of people and getting the ball. Some defenders are brilliant at that. Some of the cleverest defenders read the game. You see a lot of, I think someone like PK is really good at it in like Spain. A lot of really good defenders do that. Now he's got to realise that at his age, he might just have slowed down a touch. And if the striker sees it coming and puts his body in the way so he can't nick in front, he's going to hit the deck. He's just got to know that. And the other thing about it, which I find really stupid as well, look who you've got behind you in goal. Have a think. If that lad gets a ball of feet, then he has to turn you as well, find a yard of space, enough space that the shot's good enough to beat this fella who's brilliant.
Best goalie in the world,
as far as I'm concerned.
Best goalie ever.
But he's a penalty. But you know what? Talking about this fella, he made one really good save in the first half, the one he just pushed wide. But when the lad stepped up for the penalty, I was so confident he'd save it. And you know, I've said this a few times. On Monday night, I don't know whether this is true or not, but there was a couple of times where Aguero had a chance to shoot, and I think the one where he lobbed them and Jagielka got off the line, and there was another one, and I just think sometimes a goalkeeper's reputation precedes him, and strikers, you know, you look at people thinking like Schmeichel and Cech when he was in his peak, maybe Courtois now, maybe Buffon. Southall was probably one of the better examples of it. Strikers look at the goalkeeper and go, this has got to be brilliant, this has got to be on target, this has got to be top corner, and that puts a seed of doubt in their mind. And I think he's starting to create that aura now. I'm not saying it necessarily was happening with this penalty. The lad might know Jordan Pickford from Adam, but he's got that aura about him now.
Definitely got a presence, hasn't he? It's weird because you think of goalkeepers with presence, like in the modern game, and you think Buffon, Neuer, Courtois, like you mentioned there, and they're all like huge lads, aren't they? And it's interesting because Pickford, you know, you can see him there. I think he's taller than a lot of people.
Tall, he's not.
But he's not enormous, is he? That's what I'm trying to say. He doesn't really. He's not someone you look at him, and, you know, like Isis in the Guard Street, and you look at him, he doesn't really fill the goal like the same way as a Courtois or maybe someone like Buffon would do. But I think it's just the way he does everything, so assertive and so confident. He kind of emits this sense that he knows exactly what he's doing. And I'm with you. When we were watching it, I was like, there's no way he's going to score here. You know, you could tell he looked confident. He looked really assured in the way he was going about it. And wasn't the best penalty, but again, it's you know, we mentioned Sigurdsson about being a game changer at times. You know, he can drag you out, he can get you a goal, which can get you a point or 3 points. I think this lad's going to be the same for us as well. And the thing that's really encouraged me so far, apart from the saves and his distribution, is that when you sign a keeper from somewhere like Sunderland or somewhere lower down the leagues, the one concern you always have is what's the concentration going to be like late on in matches when they've not got much to do, or You know, when they go through 30 minutes in the game, they've not got much to do. How are they going to react? Are they going to be focused still? Can they spring into action after being so inactive? And we've seen against Stoke on day one that he's absolutely fine in that sense of doing that. And last night he had one save in the first half, and again he didn't really have that much to do in the second half, did he? But every time he was called upon to do something, he was fantastic. And I think the way he's quite an intense and dynamic goalkeeper helps him in that sense. He kind of makes sure that he's focused all the time. He's always alert to the game. By bollocking people, by being on the front foot, by always being active in his distribution. You know, he keeps the mind sharp. By looking and trying to find clever passes and just hooping the ball downfield. He's always alert, and I think that helps him. I wouldn't say he's a goalkeeper who's always trying to get involved in the game. He's just very proactive and aggressive in the way he does things. And you know, I thought he was going to take a bit of a while to settle in. To be honest, I thought he might struggle initially early on, but been so impressed with the lad. And it's funny looking back early in the transfer window, and people were saying £30 million, £25 million, whatever it was for Pickford. That's that's a remarkable amount of money to pay for him. And a couple of months on, it looks like an absolute snip. Doesn't it?
Already, it's just the saves he's made and the difference he's made to the defenders that are in front of him a lot more, and just going the match yourself. You don't feel worried, and you think this keeper will make a save, or his distribution will get us up the pitch, or whatever. It's just been absolutely fantastic.
It's like you go to City and you feel like you've got a chance for him in goal. Or you go to Chelsea to begin with, you know, you're going to be under pressure for a long, long time. You're going to have to face a lot of shots, but you just feel as though you've got an opportunity with him. And I think Michael Keane's probably similar in that sense.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, when it's backs to the wall, he seems to excel. He seems to relish that type of challenge, and I think that's what Koeman's done well. He's got players who can be decisive in games and drag you through matches and get you points. Pickford, Keane and Sigurdsson, I think, are the three prime examples.
And Rooney as well.
Yeah,
I just thought last night he was brilliant again. He was everywhere. Again, he tied towards the end, which he will do in these games, and that's why it's important we have competition for even if it's not for his position, even if someone like Gylfi Sigurdsson can move inside or something. But I thought last night again, his leadership he's a real captain on the pitch.
Yeah.
And, you know, he is a proper leader on the pitch, but he's always talking, he's always in someone's ear. He's been here before, he knows how to win cheap fouls. The only disappointment with Rooney's performance last night is he didn't get the goal, because, you know, at the head of first half, he had a header in the second half, which he probably should have done better. But the chance late on, for me there, I don't know, I suppose a 25-year-old Rooney is just gonna roll that in the left foot. But last night he just checked inside and tried to sort of put it back in that corner, but it just never worked. That was the only disappointing thing, that he never got the goal, because that would have capped off a really good week for him. So, you know, it's been a great start for him, really.
Oh yeah, Baz hasn't let me forget it, by the way, because obviously I was a bit of a sceptic about him coming back.
Well, we had this conversation about 47 times, didn't we, me and you in the blue room, and we had nothing to do during international weeks. Yeah. But he's done, for me, I think exactly what I always imagined him to do. Off the field, blitzed it, mate, absolutely blitzed it. And on the field has become a leader, and has got that little bit left in the tank. And I think he's shown that.
Yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic so far, and, you know, I'll happily eat my words if he goes on and does a fantastic job for us this season. I think he's going to be someone we're going to have to manage later on. Yeah. I think, you know, there's been a couple of games.
That's why he's quit England.
Yeah, of course, yeah, which is fantastic news for us, and made up he's done that. But that's what I wanted from him. I wanted someone who's not necessarily someone who's done everything at Manchester United and is going to Everton for a bit of a relaxed homecoming, and, you know, to soak up the adulation of the crowd. It's quite clear from his performances and from the fact he's retired from England duty as well, that this is a lad who's focused and still got a desire to win games. And I think we've seen that with his 2 goals and the 2 celebrations he's had. You know, the first one was just pure relief and an outpouring of emotion, wasn't it? And then the second one was giving it biffers to the City fans a little bit, wasn't it? You know, and I think that kind of sums up the passion and the drive he's still got. And I've still got a few little concerns about where he's playing. I think he drops a little bit too deep at times, wants to get involved in the game a bit too much. But I think when he's in the final third and he's linking play up there, high up the pitch, and he's getting in the box, because I think Rooney's finishing's always been so underrated throughout his career. I think people talk about his link up as a split striker and being a number 10, but when he's in the penalty area on the end of things, he typically tends to finish him, and I think that's what Everton should be looking to get out of him.
I think last night though, I think what he showed in a couple of times last night, he's still got he's still got pace over 10 yards. There was a few times last night where it was a head-to-head between him and the defender to reach the ball first, and he got there, and maybe even in the last sort of seconds he nicked it with his strength, or just got a nice touch with the outside of his foot just to keep it away from the defender. But he's certainly got that about him. He's still got the aggression. He probably retired just because he just wants this weekend off after next week. He probably had such a heavy start. He's just like, I need 2 weeks off. But that's good, because he'll probably he by all accounts, he was getting called up for this squad. Gareth Southgate's even admitted
he said, didn't he?
You know, he was getting called up, and it wouldn't surprise me if later on in the season he goes, you know what, I fancy that World Cup. I think he just doesn't want the qualifiers. I think he knows his body and probably thinks, I do need those rests. If I have those rests every couple of, you know, if I have a rest for 2 weeks, you know, every month, my body's going to be up for it, and they'll probably let him go on holiday, because that, you know, that's how they'll, you know, he'll go. It wouldn't surprise me if Koeman just lets him go on holiday every month when it's international weekend, and just go away, relax. I know they're due the fourth, having a fourth kid and stuff. Go away, relax, enjoy some off time, and then come back refreshed. And then towards the end of the season, if there's still any lingering doubt, it wouldn't surprise me if he got a call up for like a couple of friendlies, then goes to World Cup if he feels like he can, because ultimately, as I said, I think he just thinks, I need those rests now.
I don't know, I think that's not a decision he would have took lightly, to be honest, because he's one of those. I think a lot of that golden generation were quite happy to back out of playing for England and weren't really asked at times, where I think Rooney's always been very much fully on the England camp, hasn't he? He's always been quite keen to play pretty much every game for them, so I think he's, you know, we all say he's, you know, he's jibbed England off and for Everton and stuff like that, but I think he really loved playing for England.
I think he did.
So I don't think it's a decision he would have took lightly, but I completely agree with the point about keeping him refreshed and relaxed, because one of the concerns I had about bringing him back was that he's 31, but he's effectively been playing top level football for 15 years now. He's not had many injuries, so he's not had like a huge amounts of rest throughout his career either, and you'd say he's probably got the miles on the clock of a 35, 36-year-old footballer. So he needs to rest, he needs to look after his body, and that's why I'm hoping in the next week or so we do get another striker in, because it's fantastic watching him now playing well, scoring goals, and you kind of lapping up every bit of Wayne Rooney that you can at the moment. But when the season gets going and you're playing, I think between November and the end of December, it's something like 11 games, isn't it? Something crazy like that in the Premier League. So you're going to have to look after him, you're going to have to pick and choose the games he's going to play, and getting those 2 weeks, maybe going away with his family, like you said, just taking his mind off footy for a bit. He'll come back refreshed in his legs and refreshed in his mind as well.
I do think by Southgate saying the door's not shut, that
I think he thought he meant coaching role, didn't he, or something
like that? I think that if for whatever reason, injuries or players not playing well, if he's had a good season and it comes to April and the manager says, I'll call you up for like those 2 last fixtures after the season, and then you could go to the World Cup, I think he'll go to the World Cup. But only if other factors. I get the feeling if he can get to that if he can go to the World Cup refreshed and he hasn't played all the quad, I think he'll go, because to him, what would be the difference? He's had all that time off. You know what I mean? I mean, I suppose people might look at it and go, well, then he'll be tired for next season. But come on, if someone said to you,
couldn't blame him.
If someone said to you, you can have the whole season off playing for England and then you go to a World Cup, you'd take it. So and it'd be cheeky to say, I'm not. I don't want to be called up, but I'm not retiring. So I just feel like if there is I still think
him out, did it?
No, exactly. I still think there is I think there's a small. I mean, a lot of things would have to go his way, like players would have to be injured and stuff like that. But if he has a good season, and then people will go, well, he's had a good season and he's refreshed and he's ready to go, then people go, you know, we might as well. So I'm not dismissing that. I think once the penalty saved, I think that took pretty much the steam. They continued to have a lot of pressure, but they didn't really go anywhere with it. And I think once we brought Tom Davies on, that just shored up that midfield, because around the 60-minute mark or so, I was screaming to get Bessage off. He was running around, he was nowhere, he was lost, he was playing silly passes, although he did play a lovely ball over the top for Rooney. Was it for Rooney? It was might have been for Sigurdsson. Michael Keane played a lovely little dink ball over the top.
I think that's one for Rooney, wasn't it? One was Sigurdsson.
Lennon added on the right. He got through.
Well, Lennon.
He got through as well, and then and sort of checked back and but he did well, because what he did is he gave us a shape, and I thought he did well. But I thought once Tom Davies came on the pitch, he started winning a lot of cheap fouls for us, really clever fouls. And I thought, the last 15 minutes, like you said, 20 minutes, we just got the ball into Snidland and just started moving it around. And as I said earlier, the only disappointing thing was we never got the second goal and won the game.
Yeah, I think Snidland was outstanding in the last half an hour. Just really got a grip of the game, and he does that thing which, you know, I'm a huge fan of him. I think he's probably our most important player still, even after all the summer signings we made. But he does that thing where he just draws a player close to him and then just pops it off into the gap, and it makes space for other players as well. And this time, you know, think back to the first leg of this game when he came off after half time, and it just looked like Everton didn't have a clue what they were doing. The word I used was lobotomised. It looked like someone to take the brain off the team. Yeah. And I think he's going to be so important in this Europa League campaign, because he's that type of player, isn't he, where you're going to go to places like Lyon and Atlanta, and you're going to be on the back foot at times, and you need someone to get hold of the ball for you and just play a nice little pass to relieve the pressure. So it was nice to see him get a grip of the game in that last half an hour and really stamp his authority on it. Yeah, and obviously, you know, we got the point we needed. So we got the draw we needed, and there we go, we're through. Off to Cyprus,
Lyon,
somewhere in Italy.
By the north.
It's only 114 miles away from Bergamo.
Okay, there you go. Go to Milan and get the train from Milan.
Like that, yeah.
It wouldn't be too bad, would it?
Yeah.
Could maybe stay for the weekend and go and watch whoever's playing in the San Siro.
Yeah, scout our final opponents maybe in Milan. You never know.
You never know.
Well, the finals at Lyon as well, isn't it?
It's a 60,000 capacity as well, isn't it? So we shouldn't have
going to Lyon twice, I imagine the song will be.
Yeah. So we shouldn't have too many problems getting tickets if you want tickets, and just get on the alley there.
10,000 like Lille again.
Yeah. I'm just devastated. Well, I'm a bit disappointed we never got like a German team. I really am. A German team, or maybe a Bel.
I don't think Hoffenheim's very good though, is it? I don't think
no,
it's in the middle of nowhere.
There was who's the other one? Cologne. That would
I'm going on stag do there though in November, so I'm going to go twice.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah. Selfish.
Yeah. Today you'll have it. We're through. The group's been decided. Guaranteed European games now up till December, which is good. Loads of games. Sunderland in the cup as well. Loads of games. Yeah. Bank is going to be getting destroyed.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Need one of those press passes. Yeah. So give us your thoughts, Aaron. Give us your comments on this game. We're through. It doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't really matter. We're in the group.
What away game you're looking forward to the most out the three?
Hey, this is not your show. Yeah. There you go. Thanks to Matt as ever for coming in. Don't forget, check us out on Patreon if you haven't already. Check the Blue Room out as well. If you just watch it, listen to it on Radio City. And if you're an international viewer, don't forget, if you want free shipping, it ends next week. Free shipping, Everton Direct. Go on the link on our website and you'll get free shipping. You'll help us out, you'll help you out, you'll help Everton out as well. Go and get that nice new purple kit, although you can't have it with Everton in the community.
The retro one's nice. Get that.
The retro one's beautiful, and I love the numbers on this one. The Europe, like the cup numbers, look boss on. Get the cup numbers because the league numbers are just white and look.
Yeah, they're not as good this year.
Look boring. So get. Why can't they go to the Premier League and go, right? These are the numbers we want. We want these colours.
Bit weird.
Rubbish. Thanks for watching Toffee TV. I'll see you later.